Hi everybody, it's Amanda with Painted Purpose Coaching, and today I wanted to talk to you about something a lot of us have dealt with over the years and at some point in our life, and that is guilt. That's kind of a big one, and guilt and how it usually shows up, what it does, and how we work with it or how we don't work with it, and all of that good stuff. Okay, so this kind of came up for me today. I was going to do a totally different video, but I think it's good that I do it on this one. It's necessary. So guilt a lot of the times can hold us hostage in our lives, but what we've got to remember is that it shows up to teach us, and that's not usually how we accept it or what we understand from it, and we usually don't do the work around why it showed up. So guilt can be a really important teacher. It doesn't show up to hurt us. That's just how we take it and go with it. Dr. Phil's definition years ago, I heard him define guilt as being your own worst enemy. And basically he said that, it's self-betrayal. It is absolutely turning your back on yourself, and he described it like that, and I think he's right. If we take it just as it is. And a lot of the time what society says is that if we are guilty, if we feel remorse, if we feel bad, if we beat the crap out of ourselves, then we are good people. If we repent, if we carry the consequence, the burden on our shoulders every day, and all of that stuff, that we're semi-decent people, right? Because, to do something and mess up and not feel bad about it means we're arrogant jerks, right? That is a limiting belief, and that is not the truth about you or me or anybody else has ever made a mistake and had guilt over it. But the message in society is driven home that if we feel terrible, then we're good people, and sometimes we adopt that into our own self-indoctrination, if you know what I mean by that. We indoctrinate ourselves with these limiting beliefs of, well, I feel so bad about it, I don't know what else to do. So, in order to look at myself in the mirror every day, I'm just going to feel like crap and beat myself up. And that's how you start to get through the days, right? A lot of the things that we often feel guilty over is, parents, when we want to have kids and we have dreams about having our own family and what it's going to be like, and since we're kids, we start thinking about this stuff, about how we're going to do things different or better, and then we get in it and we have to work a lot. And I mean, how many parents here have felt guilty because of how many hours that they have? And I'm talking to pet parents too. A parent's a parent. It doesn't matter. Or if you're got custody of kids and you're with them, 90% of their day, then you are their parent. Okay. So, let's just get that straight. The thing is that, this is not what you imagined. All these busy lifestyles that we have nowadays, parents feel guilty because they realize at the end of the day that they only saw their kid for 5% of their day, or sometimes 10% of their day. 98% was spent working, running errands, doing chores, having to work to provide. And the whole thing's, our system in this country, I believe, is set up for things to be bad like that, Just people don't get to spend enough time with their kids. I know in other countries they actually pay the first 2 years of the child's life to have at least one parent with them all the time, and we need to do that here. I'm just going to say that. But I work with somebody whose child died in an accident, and there's been a lot of guilt over the loss of their child. They've blamed themselves because they didn't want to let the child go on on the trip and there was a car accident and the person passed away. And there's a lot of guilt that they have because of that. And so, it can be, sometimes it can't be just about, neglecting to do something. It can be about, caving in or doing something that defies, your value system and how you wanted to raise your kids, or it's a missed opportunity a lot of the time, and you wanted to do things different. And sometimes the consequences of these things, when we're in the moment, if we cave in, there's this, it's a lot of consequences, right? So I know somebody who's got, their kids got eating issues, and I know that this person is a good parent, and I know that they are really worried about health problems in their family and illness, and they don't want to pass that on to their kids. So the whole thing around the child's diet is really important. And they feel guilty because they have been, giving their kid foods that are not in line with that value system. I know somebody else that can't even afford to give their kids the proper food, so they're just doing the best they can, and they've got guilt about it. And my heart really goes out to all of us that have had these things happen. But here's the thing. We begin, when we're running the pattern of guilt, we start to have this whole thought of I, me. I controlled what is or what isn't from that decision. Or, I have... we really start to be self-absorbed. And when you're self-absorbed, like when it becomes all about you and something goes wrong and you're blaming yourself, like, well, it's kind of narcissistic is what it looks like to everybody else. You're over here stuck in your head, well, I should have done this or that. I guess they're mad. And you're like, you ask somebody, are they mad at me? And then the other person's like, it's not all about you. Now, that situation's actually happened. And so that is a real thing. And the person, the angel that was there in the moment was just like, it's not about you. And so, it's really not. It's not about you, but it is on you to do the work from it. Okay? So don't abandon yourself. Don't turn your back on yourself. This showed up to teach you something and can give you a lesson that will change the rest of your life for the better. A lot of the times, there's, after what it looks like to other people, is that you're just kind of a self-absorbed jerk. But there, you start to lash out. You start to become a martyr. You start being a martyr for whatever the situation was that the guilt stems from. There's emotional stacking. There's all kinds of stuff. And the next thing you know, you're lashing out at people and thinking things that they're not even doing or saying. You're lashing out at everybody because you got triggered because of something that was said just in relation to what you went through and what you had to deal with. So it's really important to do the work around this. It affects our relationships. It affects everything. How we look at the world, even how we view the world. It affects us. It is that strong. It is that strong of an issue. So if we allow some healing and work to come in over this, it can change our entire perspective on the world and what's going on in it. That carries a lot of weight. That is pretty powerful. And, it reminds me a little bit of the Lord of the Rings. Gollum, he was sitting in his cave and he's like, oh, my pretty, people start to wear it as an identity even. They'll put it on and wear it as an identity and lash out at anybody that comes near it or challenges it in any kind of way, any different way of thinking. And what I found is a lot of the time people that act like that, they really, it comes down to them being mad that they see the outcome of the choice that they wanted to make, right? And they're mad that they didn't, and they take it out on whoever's coming from that aspect of it. So it's just all about, it's all about working with it, the self. And it's not the other person's fault. it's not the other person's fault that they're doing different and they made a different choice and they got different outcomes and they're talking about it and you don't get it and you're mad, and it's not their fault. You have to own your own guilt. And that's another thing I saw on the Oprah show years ago. It was just so powerful when I heard it. And, it actually helped me with something I was dealing with at the time. And this was probably 25, 30 years ago, I guess. But I think it was Iyanla Vanzant had been on the Oprah show, and she told somebody, that was lashing out. Somebody was martyring a certain thing that was going on in society, and this one person, was getting mad, and it was just a big mess. But she looked at them, she said, you have to own your own guilt. Stop putting your stuff out like everybody else is doing something to you. It's you that shows up with the stuff. They don't know, and it's just, that's what it looks like, and it affects everything. So anyway, how people deal, they got chips on their shoulders, and like I said, I mentioned the attacking and all this stuff. They start to do this thing. It's what we call in coaching a crazy eight. And or an insane cycle is what it can be called as well. But it's where, the person who's feeling guilty all the time, and where it's evolved into these other problems, starts to do this shifting stuff and it's almost like, think of a figure eight, where it is, you're defending it, and then you're feeling bad about it and guilty, like you should have done something else. And then you defend it, and then you start to, it's just back and forth. These two sides of totally different behavior over the same thing. And that's why it's called an insane cycle, because you never get anywhere. You're just running the pattern of back and forth over and over and over. Cause and effect and just on that. So a lot of the time when you're running that pattern, it's time to do a little bit of work around it. So the thing is that if we can do the work around it, and what the work looks like is we do work around, we do a lot of self-acceptance, self-compassion, forgiveness. We do exercises on letting go of the past and, letting go of the past and living in the present moment is a big one. Just all kinds of things. Releasing some of these things helps you be more confident. It helps you make better decisions. That way you're not having regret. You're not stuck. You can actually make decisions depending on the gravity of what happened and how much guilt you feel. It can keep you from making decisions. You just be stuck all the time and frustrated and don't know what the hell's going on. You lose control of your own life, right? That's pretty huge. That's pretty big, from just something as small as what starts as guilt. So guilt is really guilt, right? That's a lot to carry. It's a lot to carry, and it does not take much work to help with this and shrink it back down to little g size, right? But when we start to do this work, it really changes everything. You're able to, like I said, make decisions, self-forgiveness, self-compassion. You have compassion for other people. You are able to have confidence in your decisions, and living free of regret. And you're just a happier, more vibrant. You've got a higher energy. You're not at risk for some diseases that come along with that and some health problems that come along with it. You're just an overall much better person. And I say, why not? So if you guys have some work to do around anything that you're dealing with, if this resonates with you at all, I don't care if it's over something small or if it's something big like what I mentioned earlier. It's time. My job, my purpose, my living, breathing purpose every day has nothing to do with me being a know-it-all. It's about helping people any way I can with what information I have and what I get from other people. That is all it's about. I don't coach from my ego. I am not, I love what I do, but I am not here to rub your nose and stuff, but I know my shit. I've done the work. I suffered for years and finally pulled myself up by my bootstraps and did my work. And I got with the best people I could to help me figure it out. So if you've got any doubt about my abilities, that's fine. I can help you find a coach that would be better suited for you. But please do the work. Please, because you are affecting way more than you think you are. And anybody of any age can do this work, can do work on guilt, you know. I mean, it might be a kid feeling bad with their puppy dog or something, not spending enough time with the dog, or anything. But there's no reason to hang your head in shame and carry that around with you. It's just mucking up the place. They do the shoulda, woulda, coulda, and you shouldn't all over the place, right? Stinking up the joint. So we don't want that. Anyway, I have coming up my schedule. This coming week, I have some clarity sessions opens in the morning times, and I am, if you're on the East Coast watching this right now, I am on the West, and I'm about 3 hours behind right now. So, but the nice thing is I've got a broad schedule. I've got some morning sessions open. You can just inbox me here on Facebook, or you can message me, email me at P2P coaching at gmail.com, and let's get rid of some of this stuff. Life is too long to live miserable, upset, angry, and with a chip on your shoulder, or beating yourself up over stuff that just did the best you could when you knew, right? There's no sense in living in the past. Let's let it go. Let's do the work, and let's finally figure out what it is that it showed up for to teach us. So, like I said, get with me. I've got some session slots open, and I love all of you, and I hope to hear from you soon. God bless, and have a good day.